So literally, like absolutely, literally no one, except for left-leaning university academic professors, looked at Dungeons and Dragons and said, hey, orcs, yeah, it kind of looks like black people, so that's racist. And because of that, Grand Wizards of the Coast, like, they unironically believe that. I mean, it's coming from the academia, so therefore it must be true, and if you disagree, you're a reactionary. So what they thought is like, all right, well, we can actually fix systemic racism in the US. Like, we can stop the police violence towards innocent black people if we change our game, right? So they changed the orcs, and they made them into Mexicans. This is actually an official artwork. And I love the fact that the artwork is getting a lot of negative pushback, right? Like, I genuinely feel bad for the artist. But what he is doing right now, and they notice like this thing on Twitter that if you respond to messages, they actually get put on top, right? So like the artist is swimming in a lake of negativity, and he's finding like the 5 or 10 messages that are somewhat positive, and he's responding to those. So if you look, it's like gives you the illusion that everything is positive, but as you scroll down, it's like, oh shit level. So why is this picture so bad? Like, why are so many people mocking it? Well, I believe that especially when you look at entertainment for teenagers, which Dungeons & Dragons absolutely is, like, you're not going to see 65-year-old grandmas playing D&D, right? And if you want to make successful entertainment for teenagers, it has to be either cool, sexy, or funny. Like, this is what video games have made before 2014, is what worked. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just have to apply the formula that existed since Greek theater all the way up until now. In fact, this is what anime is doing right now, right? These 3 things: cool, sexy, or funny. Like, you just need to focus on one of them, and if you get it right, you're going to make money. Let's look at this picture and see if it has any of the things, right? Is it sexy? Well, the artist went out of its way in order to make it so that if you want to find it sexy, you gotta transition. Like, if you're a man and you want to have some sex appeal in this, you gotta transition, right? Because if you transition into a woman, well, you're going to have, like, look at this sexy stud right here, right? Shirtless, big muscles. You got another symbol of peak masculinity over here, right? So if you transition into a Democrat, if you actually change your gender, all of a sudden, like, there's a lot of sex appeal here, right? A lot of strong men. But if you happen to be a man, the artist went out of its way to avert the male gaze, right? Like you got this plump lady. Like, if this lady gets on top, you're done. You're done. I'm surprised that The Rock is managed to hold. Like, this Rock is in pain right now. You know it. I know it. She knows it. This lady, I think it's a lady. Like, you gotta ask the pronouns. You gotta ask, you know, hey, if you swing straight, you gotta make sure. Half of her hair is shaven. I don't know what happened to the hair here. You know, like birds that are in distress. Like, if you have a parrot and it plucks like half of its feathers, it's usually a sign that the bird is in distress. You need to take it to a vet. It needs something, right? Like, all the female characters out of its way to avert the male gaze, right? Like, male gaze, horrible. What you need to do is to transition, get on that estrogen, get on that Democratic ballot, do something productive. So, yeah, like, all jokes aside, though, Neverwinter Nights, Baldur's Gate, Star Wars, The Old Republic, like, all those old games, including World of Warcraft, all of them had a sexy character on the box, right? Like, that's what appeals. Like, they used the male gaze in order to sell. They didn't run away from it. They embraced it. I mean, fucking hell, World of Warcraft had the sexy night elf on the box, right? It's just, what the fuck are we talking about? Neverwinter Night had Lady Annabeth. Why would you, like, know what sells and move away from it? It's because you're woke, that's why. Alright, so it's not sexy. Unless you transition. Is it cool? No, it's not cool. What the fuck is that? Like, what exactly are they trying to represent? Do I want to go on an adventure with these people? No. I mean, look at this lady, I assume. Is it? Like, again, you need to ask the pronoun. Look at the way that she is looking at this kid. I don't want to be this kid. I mean, this alleged lady is looking at him as a liberal teacher. Very creepy. And there's like nothing cool going on around it. Like they have birds, right? So a lot of shit, a lot of stacco. There's no magic, there's no badassery, there's nothing going on. It's just they're running around with birds. This is the most lame adventure ever. Like if you come to my D&D table with an adventure like this, oh, what the fuck is wrong with you? Let me DM. Holy shit. And even the style clashes, right? Like you got an axe, right? So like a medieval thing, but you also have like these horses that look like that they're coming from a Western movie. So you have like this bizarre clash between medieval society with Mexican clothing that's like at least the year 1700s. Like what the fuck are you doing? What are you going with? Right? Is it funny? Fuck no. This is sad. Like, it saddens me when I see, you know, this is Dungeons and Dragons, allegedly. Like, this is what they're focusing on. Instead of, like, improving the game, making cool spells, or making interesting stories, this is the shit that we're given now. And also, it's ideology first and gameplay second. Like, take into account that the reason they're doing this is because they don't want the orcs to be bloodthirsty. And if you have a campaign and you actually just need a villain for the sake of it, like no thinking about it, no nothing, it's like the orcs are coming, let's fight, let's throw dice, right? And you don't want the campaign to be about talking, negotiating, or anything like that. Like maybe that's for something else, right? Like there is a time and place for that, but like no, you just want a villain. Just simple, you know, go out there and destroy the villain without the players feeling bad about it. It used to be like, okay, well, let's have some orcs in, let's have some goblins, let's have this, let's have that. I don't want to kill these people. Like, look, they're enjoying themselves. They're having fun with kids and shit. Like, why would the paladin want to attack them at that point? And then you can say, well, not everything has to be about combat. It's like, yeah, but like, what do you do with the combat, though? Like, if you have a character, like, there are players that genuinely play the game in order to make like a fighter or a paladin or something that doesn't do a lot of talking but does a lot of smashing. And for those players, how do they find fun now? Because they can't fight this. Like, if you're a lawful good paladin, like, you can't attack these people, right? And I, as a DM, like, what do? Do I just summon monsters now? It's like, okay, you're fighting wolves. Now you're fighting bears. Now you're fighting owlbears. Now you're fighting... Like, it becomes boring after a while, right? So, if you want, like, an evil race, like, okay, you got orcs, and they have, like, siege engines, and they have combat tactics, because they're intelligent. They're not just, like, some dumb wolves or shit. Like, no, they have formations, and they can set traps and stuff. No, you can't do that anymore. Like, with the official lore, you can't do that anymore. You know, you can't tell interesting stories. It's like, what about slavery? Oh, you're not allowed to do that. That is a subject that's not allowed to exist even in fantasy. Like, it can exist today in some parts of Africa, and the people that mine the cobalt for technology, like, that exists, but you just can't have it in D&D. I mean, slavery makes for interesting campaigns. Like, okay, so the players are taken as slaves by the orcs or whatever, and now they can create a slave uprising. They can create a rebellion. They can do something. You know, like, that's interesting. That creates interesting stories. And what do the players do after they manage to overthrow the orc masters? Do they enslave the orcs? I mean, that's interesting things, right? Because like, at the end of the day, there are no orcs. There are no fantasy creatures. It's all make-believe. You're just creating it in your head. You're creating hypothetical scenarios. They're not fucking real. But again, the official creators of this game, with pronouns in their bio, are making the game so sanitized and so fucking boring that, unironically, if this was how D&D was presented when I was a kid, I would think, like, this is something for little girls to play. Like, this is a game for women. And women would look at it, and they would be like, nah, they look too ugly. And then... Let me know what you guys think, though. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.